In this video, I'm going to share with you why it's so dangerous to simply accept that you have chronic pelvic pain and what you can do to make sure that that doesn't happen. If you're a man or a woman suffering with chronic pelvic pain, nonbacterial prostatitis, pudendal neuralgia, or any of the mystery symptoms associated with CPPS, this video is specifically for you. My name is Christian St. John. I spent nearly 3 years and over $50,000 to recover from chronic pelvic pain, so you don't have to. If you want to learn exactly how I got out from chronic pelvic pain, feel free to go ahead and grab my free training down below.
I knew that I just couldn't give up on it. Completely healed, completely changed, totally transformed, back at the gym, lifting weights, working out. Most importantly, I'm just living a normal life.
You have to believe you can heal. So let's hop into this video. One of the things with chronic pelvic pain that is so dangerous is this acceptance that you're just stuck with it. And I know how frustrating it can be. When I was suffering with chronic pelvic pain, weeks turned into months, and then months turned into years, and it becomes very scary. And what happened for me, and maybe you can relate to this, is after a while you start making changes to accommodate for your condition. Some changes that I made, as an example, were always taking a cushion everywhere that I went because I was unable to sit. I couldn't sit like this the way I am right now. So anytime I would go anywhere, I would have to bring a cushion with me, whether it was a family function, a barbecue, church, whatever it was, a restaurant. I had to actually bring a cushion with me driving. It was very embarrassing. But after a while, I got over that embarrassment. And the good news is I was able to get over the embarrassment. The bad news is I started to become comfortable with bringing that cushion everywhere. So as you can see, it's kind of like condition creep is what I call it. After a while, it just kind of creeps in that you start to accept that this is what you have and that you're stuck with it. Another condition creep that I experienced was the way that I would dress. At the time I was working from home when I was suffering with chronic pelvic pain, so I had flexibility in my dress. I didn't have to go to the office, and I was essentially wearing sweatpants or shorts because I was trying to make things as loose as I could down here to not make the pain worse. So after a while, you just become comfortable with wearing shorts or sweatpants, and then once you leave the house, you're wearing shorts and sweatpants. And there's nothing wrong with wearing shorts or sweatpants. It's just, it begins to kind of creep in that you're not really looking your best. And if you're not looking your best, sometimes you're not feeling your best because you're not dressing your best. So you begin to sometimes, or I began to feel like I was being a little sloppy in the way that I was presenting myself, which is not something that I really loved. So again, condition creep. Another example was just my story of being the one suffering with chronic pelvic pain. In the beginning for me, there was a lot of anxiety around sharing my story with friends and family and coworkers because I was so embarrassed, right? Discussing pain while sitting, pain with sex, pain with urinating, knife pain in the urethra, electric style pain in the penis. It's not really a fun discussion with friends and family and loved ones. But eventually when I was able to discuss that with them, it became comfortable, which was a positive, but it also became a negative as the months and the years went on. It became my story. It became somewhat my identity that I was the one always suffering with chronic pelvic pain. And after a while, when you're interacting with people, you're either brightening the room or dimming the room. And I can tell that I was just being the person that all of a sudden was the one that was always in pain and always complaining about being in pain. And that's not my nature. I've always been a very happy person, a very positive person. I love smiling. I love joking. I can really crack jokes at times and give it and take it, and that's part of who I am, and that was stripped from me due to the horrific pain that I was in. So I began to isolate. I began to feel alone and ashamed and just didn't want to meet people. I didn't meet friends. I didn't meet family. I didn't go on dates. In fact, people thought I was afraid of catching COVID or whatever it was. It wasn't that. I was just in so much pain I couldn't even leave the house. So that condition began to creep more and more. And essentially what happened or started to happen for me was suffering with chronic pelvic pain began to become my reality. And I remember once that started to happen and I started to realize that this was my reality or becoming my reality, that I was a sufferer with chronic pelvic pain, it was a very important inflection point for me. And in my mind, I knew that this was a very dangerous place for me to be in, because there were only two options. At this point, it was 2+ years in suffering with pelvic pain after trying countless procedures and treatments and surgeries and spending over $50,000. There were only two options for me. Option A was I can accept the fact that I have chronic pelvic pain and just give up and, curl up in a ball and die. Or I can fight that. I could not accept that. I can reject that identity. And thankfully, I chose option B. I never once believed that my identity would be somebody who had chronic pelvic pain for life. I rejected the identity of a sufferer. I rejected the identity of someone that would be unable to sit. I rejected the identity of someone who would no longer be able to travel, who would no longer be able to enjoy foods, who would no longer be able to cook, and on and on and on. All those things I was unable to do that I'm able to do now, I rejected that identity. So if you're sitting here suffering with chronic pelvic pain, pudendal neuralgia, nonbacterial prostatitis, whatever the heck it is, any mystery symptoms associated with CPPS, and it's been months or maybe years for you, I want to encourage you to not accept the identity of being stuck with this for life. It is so crucial. This is not your identity. It was not my identity. It's not your identity. But you have to believe that. It starts here. And I never once accepted that that would be my identity. And once you actually believe that, and then learn the skills that you need and implement the skills to recover from chronic pelvic pain, that's when everything will change for you. That's how it started to change for me. I started to realize that it wasn't just physical. I started to realize there were other components to this. And then I started uncovering those truths, uncovering those skills, and then implementing them. And it didn't happen overnight. It took months and months, but months after me realizing what was going on and putting the pieces together, my pain began to dissipate. So do not accept the identity of being someone who's stuck with chronic pelvic pain. I can tell you, if you accept that, you have no shot to recover. No shot. And forgive me if that sounds harsh, right? I am here to be honest with you. I'm here to shoot you straight. That's what this channel is all about. We're not here to sugarcoat any of this. But if you accept that you're stuck with chronic pelvic pain for life, you will be. So make sure that is not your identity. Make sure you don't accept that. So many people out there are accepting that, and my heart goes out to them because they just don't believe that they can recover. So what we do at Pelvic Heal is we work with men and women, busy professionals who are unwilling to accept that they're stuck with chronic pelvic pain. Right? These are men and women that have been suffering for at least 3 to 6 months with no known cause, no structural disorder, no infection, no disease, no known diagnosis, and they're open to working on it in a completely different way, and they're unwilling to accept that chronic pelvic pain will be their identity. So don't let that condition creep on you. If you feel like this has been becoming your identity, break that cycle, break that pattern. Watch this video 10 times, 100 times if you need to get that wired into your brain. You can recover from chronic pelvic pain, but it starts here. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Let us know what you think. And if you'd like to learn more about my story and everything I went through, my struggles with chronic pelvic pain, and ultimately what I did to get out of it, go ahead and click on the video that you see right here up on the screen.